Well, hello everyone, and here we are. What is it, Angela? Is it 35?
Something like that. Yeah, number 35.
Yay! 35. Wow. I remember when I was 35. I thought the whole road was before me. Actually, most of it was behind me. But there you go. Now, fate versus destiny. That's got a lot to do with the roads that we take and how we look at them. But first of all, let's introduce ourselves, shall we? Willie, since you're the only man in the place at the moment.
Yeah, but I'm she, him, her, all that day stuff. Yeah. Whatever. My name's Willie Nicol. I'm the cop turned coach. I'm a personal development and mindset coach. I just help people when they're stuck to achieve the solutions to their stuckness.
Cool, Mary.
I also am a coach and I'm an ex-project manager, so I love working with people who kind of aren't in the flow at work and just need a helping hand, and I help them out. And we figure out what gets them in a wonderful state of flow so they are their best selves at work.
Thank you. Angela.
I'm Angela Daye from Inner Pathways, and I use a whole series of tools and techniques from a different bunch of modalities to help you put down your baggage that you don't need to be carrying around that's getting a bit too heavy, because if you're holding it all day, it's not really doing you much good. So I'm going to help you put down any baggage or any problems that you're carrying around with you that don't need to be there, to help you then decide where you want to go and where you want to take yourself, and just bring the right amount of empty luggage ready to fill up with fun experiences.
Hmm. I just find I fill it up with rubbish, but there you go. That's me.
And then I'll help you empty it again.
This is true. Yes, the unpacking of the suitcase during sociology, we got really fed up with that because at one point you lose all the molecular integrity and it just falls to pieces. But anyway, I'm Leslie Marsh. And I also have a myriad of modalities that I use. But one of the biggest ones that I like to use is storytelling. And I like to hear people's stories and figure out where it is that we can help them to change them, if that's what they want. Now, fate versus destiny. We were having a little conflab about this, and we were looking at the definition. There's not much to choose between them, really. Well, as far as the great God Google is concerned. But I always heard that fate was what you were left with if you didn't go out and seek your destiny. If you didn't go out and actually take charge, get a hold of something, even if it was a coup by the tail, and just actually get yourself through the mud and whatever else was going, and find out what was beyond that. So, what do we think, guys?
I I'm actually trying to. I think as we were talking, I was saying, what do I actually think it is? And sort of my sense growing up was that when we talk about fate, it's that well, it doesn't matter what I do, the outcome is going to be the same. That fatalism is more what I associate with fate. That idea that well, life's terrible, life's tough. It's always somebody else's fault. Nothing I do will make a difference. That to me are people who are stuck in it's just fate. People who want to take action, take control, they talk about destiny. You know, she achieved her dreams. It was her destiny. No, she got out and she worked hard and she chased them and she took all the actions, and that's why she got to her destiny. So I think I'm very much my sense of it is very much fate has no action attached to it, whereas destiny is action driven, and I think that's where my starting point would be.
I'm kind of liking that one. I'm thinking Eeyore, though. Somebody's stolen my thistles.
Yeah,
He must have
I
been very
think
fatalistic.
I think Eeyore was fatalistic. Could have been just depressed. But
Well,
Following on from Mary's point about destiny, if you just make that word longer, it's destination.
oh yeah, I think that's where the Latin comes from, the destinaire.
As Mary says, you go out and do something in order to arrive at your destination, which is your destiny. Whereas fate, you just allow things to happen to you, not for you or to progress.
I'm actually going to jump into a bit of the woo-woo situation with this. There is a curse in Haiti that's called the Hand of Destiny. And basically, what it's saying is that your destiny, your life starts here. And whichever way that you decide to move is all fine, but you'll always end up on this road here, unless someone curses you and blocks your destiny. And then all manner of things go extremely interestingly wrong. True, I read it in a book. Must be true.
And I think it is interesting is that idea and the fact that maybe you mentioned Haiti as the source in where this was coming from, but this idea of trying to explain why good things happen to some people and terrible things tend to happen to others. So this need to put some explanation on it seems to be a fundamental human need. And if you stick with fate, well, it's just going to happen. So you don't have to do anything, and you also don't have to take any responsibility. Whereas if you've destiny, you have to take responsibility. So it does impact hugely whether you go down the fate mindset or the destiny mindset.
What do you reckon, Angela?
I was just thinking, I think for me, it's whether you're sitting in the driver's seat or you're not. Have you taken the controls? Have you put your foot on the accelerator or the brake? And are you actually steering to where you want to go? And I think it's that part that when I didn't use Google, I used the lovely wonders of the AI technology that's out there right now. And it was about that predetermined outcome that is fate. And whereas the destiny aspect is bringing in that there are some things that are predetermined, as in the roads are there, but you get to choose which ones you're going to travel. So yes, you may be sticking yourself onto a road, but there's so many of these roads out there. So as you were saying as to which finger you're going to travel down, there's all these different roads that you can travel down. So I think it is very much a case of, are you choosing to be in the driver's seat, or have you decided to go and sit in the back seat and let somebody else drive the car for you, and then potentially have that woe is me attitude of, well, I'm not in control, I don't get a choice, I don't get a say, I'm just being dragged along on the journey? Or are you going to say, actually, no, my turn to drive, this is my life, my vehicle, I get to choose where I'm going?
Have we ever had a situation where we've sat down and said, well, it was meant to be or it wasn't meant to be?
I think you can do that even if you are in the driving seat.
I think, Leslie, if you say it was meant to be or wasn't meant to be, there'll be an explanation. And if we can't figure out an explanation, we'll make one up. And then we'll call it fate.
Yeah.
So something happened to me. I don't know exactly what it was and why it happened to me. So I'll make up an explanation and then blame it on fate.
There's a phrase I know we use in Ireland, and I'm not sure if it's used in Scotland. What's for you won't pass you.
Oh, yeah, what's for you will not go by you.
Will not go by you, yeah. In a sense, that's saying, if it's going to, it's almost assigning, well, it's going to happen anyway. That there's
even if you miss it the first time round.
Yeah, it might miss you one first time, catch it the second time. It won't pass you. And yet, when I find myself using it, which I have done on occasion, it's more done in the sense of encouraging people to take some action. Look, try, give it a shot. It won't pass you if it's for. Go on, give it a shot. But it's interesting that some people seem to use it very much in that fatalistic sense, as if this explaining away terrible things that was happened. It was meant to be.
Be quite a Celtic
I think I use it in a positive light. I always think of it as good things are going to come. So what's for you won't go by you, as in if it's a positive thing and it's something that I might want, then it's going to come around. I don't think I ever use that from a phrase of something I don't want, which is interesting.
But then isn't it a case of, this is what we're looking at, is whether or not we are positively engaged in how we jump into life or go forward in life, or whether we're less than positively engaged and sort of wait for the other shoe to drop if
I think it will
something good
depend whether you
happens.
consider yourself to be active or passive. As Angela says, are you passive or are you a passenger in the back seat? Or are you active? You're the person in the driving seat, choosing the roads and choosing the speed, choosing the gear, and whatever it is you're driving towards. But if you're passive, you're letting things happen to you. You're not making things happen for you.
And I
Yeah,
think
there's
there
also
might be sorry.
no go
Yes.
go no go ahead. Go ahead.
I think sometimes there are situations where people can still either make a decision or decide not to make a decision, which is itself a decision, where they're saying, I'm going to just leave it and see what happens. So that they can almost consciously look, I'm not taking that active part. I want to just see what comes my way without my being active, or I want to see how a row pans out, or how a situation pans out where there's a dispute. I'm not going to be proactive. Sometimes I think we can decide to just let things happen, and it isn't always a bad thing.
But in the fact that you've decided to do that, it's an active choice to decide, I'm going to take a step back here. I'm going to jump in the passenger seat or the back seat just for a short period of time and see what happens.
Yeah.
And then I'll take control again.
You always like, I'll go with the flow for a wee while, and then we'll see where that takes us.
It kind of takes us a little bit onto that's me anyway. The idea of touchstones and rabbit's feet and lucky charms and things like that, and how we can be fatally ensconced in that idea that we must have this lucky item with us or disaster is going to happen. And most of the time it's because we've forgotten it and we rush back to get it that something disastrous happens, which both makes it a folly and makes sense at the same time. It's really lucky. I won't have any luck if I don't have this. And you turn around and go back and you get knocked down by a car on the way across the road to go and get your lucky rabbit's foot, whose rabbit wasn't very lucky in the first place, so he lost his foot. But it's probably by a car at the same time. But there's also, like people have like lucky knickers or something like that when they're going on job interviews.
Well, you hear about the sports people that'll wear the same socks or the same knickers the whole time through for whatever season it is.
But that's a kind of superstition. Aye, it's like if I don't have my lucky rabbit's foot, something bad will happen, and you manifest it. Something bad will happen.
Yeah, I think that's more of it. I think it's you manifest it.
You manifest.
But this is it. Are we manifesting fate or destiny? Is it because we point ourselves towards that? Is it the mindset? Is it the growth mindset and the stuck mindset that is actually our little traffic policeman saying, this way to fate, this way to destiny?
Again, it's like that point that you make these things happen to fit the narrative. So my one like that is, if I don't have my brolly, it's going to rain. But if I take my brolly, it's not going to rain. Now, I have used my umbrella, so it definitely does rain. But it is that point that, well, actually, if I've got it, it doesn't matter either way. But if I don't have it, then I might get a bit damp.
And it's also, if you don't have it, you might feel anxious, wondering what's going to happen. When you actually get that piece of comfort of, I have my lucky totem, or I have my lucky umbrella, or I'm wearing my lucky knickers, you then settles you so that, I can deal with anything now. I can deal. So if people want to have those fatalistic views, well, I have to have this to work, I think it can serve a purpose that actually helps them.
But what if you're the only person walking about with an umbrella and everyone else doesn't have one?
I just think you're English.
You've got a fab walking stick or a stick to hit somebody with if they really annoy you.
Yeah. Exactly. You've got a weapon. You've got a weapon.
Yeah, and if perchance you're in Scotland and this is happening, then, the sun might come out. You might need to be protected from the sun.
So that's a kind of double inverse whammy. I'll take my umbrella with me, and that means it won't rain. The sun might shine. So I'm going to carry my umbrella everywhere I go.
Maybe that's why they do with bowler hats and brollies. Maybe that's the whole thing. Let's just keep ourselves in the shade.
It just so happens I think I've actually got my brolly in my bag.
I by default have a brolly in my bag.
I watched a
Just
TV.
as a repair.
I watched a TV program about a French detective who was assisted. I can't remember what it was called, by a lady who was autistic, right? And she always carried 2 umbrellas, just in case one didn't work.
Wow.
It was a very good
just
show.
in case, isn't it?
Yeah. To be sure, as you say in Ireland.
Absolutely, to be sure.
But that's also where our OCD compulsion stuff comes from as well. It's rooted in that sort of, I have to touch this so many times or the world will end. My world will end. The whole thing is going to go. But it starts very, very quietly. And it's an association that is made. I did that and things went really well that day. I didn't do that and things went really badly that day. So I'll do that again and everything will be fine. So
see, I know that doesn't work because I've been 10-pin bowling. And I can sit there going, do you know what? I stood exactly here. I swung my arm out to this length. I know I aim for the same thing and it's hit different pins. So I know that doesn't work.
Whereas you'll find that Johnny Sexton, when he's taking a kick, will have exactly the same pattern. What's the same? Wilkinson from England.
Yeah.
He is it was so noticeable. The number of moves, how he moved his body, consistent every single time.
But that's also because he's practicing it that way all the time as well, and he's getting the best results out of the things that he's doing. And I think that basically somewhere along the line, when it comes to OCD, the result-driven action kind of gets lost somewhere, and it just becomes an action that's got some superstition attached to it.
The original cause disappears, and it becomes that rote thing. But I think these are more OCD-like symptoms because I think OCD is a huge other thing that is so much more serious than the OCD-like symptoms.
Yeah, but the anxiety that actually occurs when we're looking at the, it's not even just I've left my phone, I have to go back and get my phone. It's not a useful thing, It's something that, is like a dead thing or for a rabbit's foot, or it could be a lucky keychain or just a crystal. A crystal that...
But it is that superstition habit thing again, isn't it, that we've talked about before?
Yeah.
But also that's a choice, like we were saying, about fate and destiny, because underlying it all there then is a belief somewhere along the line that we actually can have a fate or a destiny that is going to be one way or the other, depending on what we've got, what we're carrying around with us. And actually, it might be more about what we're carrying around with us in our heads and in our minds than it is in our pockets or in our bags. As to how that does, I wonder if we could have a lucky thought.
Is that perhaps an affirmation or a mantra?
Might well be. And if that's happening, we're manifesting positive vibes. So therefore, we're looking to the destination of something that is good. So we're going towards destiny. Whereas if we just sit there and kind of go, oh, well, I don't really know what to do. What am I going to do? Don't know. And you're in that dwam and you're going across the road and get hit by a bus. Well, that was fake.
You got to feel more positive. You say, I'm going to be lucky today. Rather than say,
I think you do.
I'm going to be unlucky today. Now, that's not a very positive way to start your day. So why not start with, I'll be lucky today.
Well, yeah, but it is one of those things, isn't it, that we get taught, particularly when we're doing NLP, that what we say and how we say it to ourselves, particularly, is very important because it It makes the rest of the time of that day. It colours it. It molds it into what it's going to be. Even although sometimes you can wake up and feel absolutely bloody marvellous. Think the sun is going to be shining out of every orifice everywhere. And yet suddenly, some dark cloud comes along. And for some reason, because I think perhaps it may well have been that there was an attachment to the idea of, if I say that I'm going to be lucky, then it's all going to be lucky. But we know that it kind of peaks and troughs like that. That's what life does, because there's always some person with a black cloud hanging over it, just happy to spread it your way so they can get some sun.
As in rain in your parade.
That'll be the one, yeah. But then we have brollies
Right,
for
I've got my
that.
brolly.
Yeah.
I think luck's a funny one as well, because do we make our own luck? And if we don't, is that then back to fate?
I think that's quite possibly right.
And actually, we can, I suppose we can look for our own luck, but it's about looking for the opportunities and then going after them. But that then is destiny.
Yeah.
There's the whole thing about Akashic Records and as it is written, so shall it be. I mean, I think that's biblical as well. But it's one of those things that it's way back when our ancestors were doing stuff more attached to the land and the seasons and things. So they were very much more emotionally and imaginatively involved in what was going on. And they would have little rituals and things to try and bring good weather. And they would celebrate like Beltane and stuff like that, which is why possibly quite a few of the babies were born in a certain time of the year. But because, a lot of people got lucky that night.
Or they made their own luck.
Or they made their own luck, and it came out as a bitchy little baby thing 9 months later. And then they regretted it for about another 19 years.
They made their own entertainment, if you like.
Well, yeah. Well, we know that ourselves from. Hang on a minute. Let's see when it comes to Angela. We know that from the 70s and the 3-day week.
I wasn't around for much of the 70s. Come on.
Just said that. I just felt you up there for that one.
So you preempted that one. So you set that up for me to take it. And I chose.
I knew you were going to do it anyway, so I might as well, huh?
One of these days I'll fool you.
Well, yeah, it gets to the point somewhere. This is going to be our lucky talisman. Actually, every time that I say something that mentions the 70s or the early 70s or late 60s, Angela's going to go, huh? What?
I hope that's not the facial expression I give.
Well, no, we have different faces, so no. We did discuss earlier on today that I have a resting psycho face. And I just think I'm being confused. So,
Whereas I'm sitting here feeling terrified across the desk from her.
And I wasn't even really looking at her. But there you go. What, is that something that's intrinsically going into the back of your brain, into the cerebellum, where in the primal brain, where this could be where we only have one good luck or bad luck, fate or destiny, good fate, bad fate, good destiny, less than totally wonderful destiny? Is it a spectrum?
I don't know about a spectrum, but I think there is an element of choice. I think we can choose whether we're going the fate route or we're choosing to go the destiny route. So in that sense, I think, yeah, there probably is a spectrum. Like most good things in life, there's a spectrum.
Would you think then that destiny could more be describing purpose, having purpose and understanding that we have a purpose? And therefore the will to go after it, to make it known?
Or is it perhaps choosing the purpose that you want to have?
I think I'd be more inclined to say choosing the purpose you want to have rather than.
And then once you've chosen it, you can follow the right path to the destiny that you want.
Choose a purpose.
The destination.
Yeah.
You see, I think because we can decide something's important to us and choose any purpose we want. I don't think that's. Otherwise, you're saying that our purpose in life is driven by fate. so that it's our purpose and there's nothing we can do about it.
Or
I
we
think
can
we
be
have
lazy.
choices as to what purposes we want to pick up on.
We can be lazy and fatalistic.
We can.
And as we say in Scotland, not bother our arse.
Yeah.
Say everything's just
Sitting on
fate.
knitting.
Everything's just fate. Whereas the destiny pit, the destination is we have chosen, we have decided we're going to do something to move forward, as opposed to not bothering our you know what and describing all that happens to fate.
So it's kind of like when we look at it and think, somebody's just trod on my toes, I don't like that idea, I'm going to go and do something about it. So actually, it's in the well of beliefs and values that we find our fate and destiny, therefore our purpose.
Well, it's got to start from somewhere. So our belief systems and our belief structures, whether that's been ingrained from birth or from previous to that, and we've just followed on the path, or we've chosen our own beliefs somewhere along the way, that starts somewhere. And that, I think, then forms a big part of our destiny. So if my belief system is such that I think this is okay and I think this is not okay, I'm going to more gravitate towards this than I am to this.
There's an interesting thing.
If you take a fatalistic view of things, back to the fatal thing, or fate, it's just que sera, sera. So I accept that and move on, which I don't necessarily see as a bad thing. As I said earlier, going with the flow and let's see what happens. But there comes a point where que sera, sera ain't going to cut it, because you're not going to get your destination being passive or going with the flow. At some point, you're going to have to decide to do something for yourself.
Sometimes we get to one point where we've made a choice, but it looks like we're in a cul-de-sac. And sometimes we don't know how to get out of that. We don't know to turn right, because it's maybe an embarrassment, because it becomes wrapped up in our sense of self, our sense that, particularly if we've done what people tell us to do at New Year and tell everybody our resolutions that we're going to do, and we're going to, we're going to do this and we're going to do that, and it's all going to be wonderful. And everybody's sitting going, aye, right, we'll just wait and see what's going to happen there.
Yeah. But actually telling people what you want to do is so powerful as well, because if they're then sitting there going, aye, right, you can be sitting there going, I can and I will, just watch me.
Yeah, aye, right, I will.
And it gives you that more impetus to do it. And actually having that accountability is really good as well. And I think there's stuff about when you're blowing out your candles on your birthday cake, don't tell anyone your wish or it won't come true. Sing that from the rooftops and tell everybody what you want. Because somebody might help you
somebody
get
might
there.
get it for you.
Yeah, exactly. I could never understand, ever in my entire life, why you couldn't tell anybody what your wish was for your birthday. I just couldn't get. Why would you not tell people? I couldn't. It made no sense to me.
So who was it that come up with the don't tell anyone, otherwise it won't happen? Who was that? In case you wish for a new bike and your parents couldn't afford it.
Well, I'm telling you right now, I regularly wished for a pony and I never got it. And I didn't tell anybody.
That's why you didn't get it.
Well, in a way I did, because I did work with ponies at the zoo, but it wasn't my own pony.
Well, you found an alternative.
Back garden once.
You reframed it, Leslie.
Yeah.
Got to work with them instead of having them in the garden.
Yes. Well, I had two, actually. We took them to a vet and they needed some water, so I took them into the back garden before we took them down to the zoo. The neighbours loved it. It was fun. Yeah. And it is one of the, there are certain things that happen when you look back and you see the little markers of the choices that you made, things that happened and how you react to them. And you look back at them and say, that's strange, because I wonder what would have happened if that person hadn't been there at that moment in time and did that, saw that, made a total hoolie about that. I wonder what would have happened. But then again, if we look at the multi-universe thing, the multiverses, It is happening. Every single thing is happening in every which way it can at the same time.
I start to wonder what the benefit or the value is in spending so much time thinking, what if? If we're spending all our energy and thought processes on the what ifs, are we missing the what can be now and tomorrow and the day after?
Are you seeing what if as a negative then and not as a positive?
I I think it can be used as both, but I wonder if dwelling on it and sticking with the what ifs from that perspective of, oh, if only I had, or what if this happened instead? We can't change the past. We can learn from it, but we can't change it.
I
Well,
think
I've known a few who try.
if only,
The if only.
if only
Yeah.
I had done that, or if only I hadn't done that, what if X would have happened? It's like the quote attributed to Yogi Berra, I believe, when you come to a fork in the road, take it, which makes absolutely no sense in one respect. But when you think about it, you think, you know what?
From a Yogi Bear perspective, it is.
Well, it's not
Yeah,
Yogi
from a
Berra,
yogi, he liked his food too.
Yogi
Both of
Berra
them
was
did.
I think he was a baseball player.
Yeah, he was. He was
And
there with Babe Ruth.
and he came out with all these kind of odd and pithy comments. When you come to a fork in the road, take it. It's or take the road less travelled or whatever it happens to be. And dwelling on what ifs in a negative sense is absolutely pointless. Because you'll only tie yourself up in knots and berate yourself and hate yourself for that matter. I've often thought, what if I'd only done that? Well, I didn't. So suck it up, cupcake. You took the consequences of not doing that or doing that. And I've made a few whoppers in my time. But going back and saying, what if I hadn't done that or I had done that? Would my life have been different? Yeah, probably. But you didn't. So it's not.
And if you look at the Sliding Doors film, your life can divert off in different directions anyway, but just because something seems to be a good opportunity doesn't necessarily mean it was. And actually, if you've not chosen to take it, you've no idea if it was a good opportunity because it's not an opportunity you've explored.
But you can look back and say if you don't learn the lessons of history, you're doomed to repeat them. So I made a mistake on that occasion. Am I going to do it again? Well, hopefully not. Or I made that decision there. Did it work out well? It did. So maybe try and do that again. But very often, because we're human beings, we sometimes don't quite make that work
Learn
out.
the lesson.
Yes.
Sometimes we're very slow learners.
Sorry, Mary.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes we're very slow learners.
You need to hit around the head 3 or 4 times before you get the message.
Oh, this is why I have this.
Oh, yeah, stop standing in front of elephants or cars.
I wasn't standing in front of a car. I don't know what happened with that one, but I ended up headbutting the pavement. So, I
Okay,
think
well,
I
Pay
there's
jumped.
attention, ladies and gentlemen, when you're crossing the road.
I was paying attention. I actually saw it.
What?
I heard it. I heard the engine revving and I saw the lights flashing on the thing. And all I had time to say was, he's going a bit fast, and wallop, there I was on, in another dimension as far as I was concerned. Nutting the pavement, giving it a Glasgow kiss.
Was that fate or destiny then?
Well, who knows?
And have you learned from it?
Well, probably, was that the last one? Was the bus after
So
that one?
no.
Well, I don't know. It's entire, it's one of those things that I actually came to the conclusion that, heaven didn't want me, hell couldn't hold me, so I'm here for the duration. And that's seen me through quite a lot.
So is that your middle name's Lucky then?
Oh no, my middle name's not Lucky.
Was it fate or destiny?
I think it was destiny.
I think that it's a
Because
element of
it led
gratitude
me
here.
on to it led me on to different things. If I hadn't done
She
that, then I
gets to
wouldn't have
talk
done
about it
something
every
else.
time as well.
Exactly. Gratitude. You're grateful for the lessons which you hopefully have learned and have taken you to where you are now.
Yeah. That basically anytime there's going to be an accident, make sure you've got clean knickers on. because
And we
a whole
did it
bus
back to the
full of
knickers again.
a whole bus full of policemen are going to come and have a look and bring your shoes back to you where, you know, they should have been left, and then sort of take you to the hospital, and then
And you
offer to take you home.
and you had to have clean knickers going to the doctor.
Well, this is it. That's my
It
mother
was
always
it
told
was
me.
so
It was
we had it I had it in my house. Clean knickers if you were going to the doctor.
And if you're not going to the doctor,
Doesn't
doesn't
matter.
They
matter.
didn't give it out.
But let's face it, they're gonna, if you're in an accident, they're gonna cut the whole lot off you anyway, and they're not gonna look.
Yeah,
Well,
we had
getting knocked
That-
down,
that
obviously, you
way.
weren't wearing your lucky knickers that day.
No, I wasn't.
Enough
I
said.
didn't have that kind of thing. I didn't have lucky knickers. I wasn't that. I wasn't. I was never really lucky, superstitious inclined. I just had a good idea that, you know, if it was going to happen, it was going to happen, and that was it.
So, are
so
you saying that that's fate?
No,
If it's going to happen, it's going to happen, and you've got no choice in the matter.
but then destiny is also predetermined.
There's elements of it that are.
Yeah, well, it was
You
it
choose.
was an element of that night. I was going to be there on that road, and that car was not going to hit me, but somehow I was going to end up with a sore head.
So what happens to you is
My head
fate.
hurts
Happens
now.
to you is fate, but you make your own destiny by taking action or whatever.
yeah, I think so.
But Leslie's just completely bamboozled me now, so I'm back to confused.
That's my job.
That bit's fate.
So
You're
it's fate
fated to
that
be.
you'll be confused, Angela.
Bye, Leslie.
Have we actually got to the bottom of this? Is there an answer?
No, I don't think so.
I don't know. It's a bottomless well, isn't it? It's a case of what do we do? How do we do it? When do we do it? Why do we do it? What's the impulse control behind it? When we can look back on things that have been near misses, perhaps, then we can say, oh, I must be destined for something because basically that could have been my time. It could
Destined
have
for
been game
greatness,
over.
right?
Destined for absolute, or just destined to be a total maverick and make as much nuisance of yourself as you possibly can and just make everybody else's life a little bit more colourful.
I like colourful. That
Well,
that can work.
Colourful is good. Colourful is good.
So next time we're looking at things that happen or things that don't happen that we thought might have happened, that could have been better if they hadn't happened or had happened or hadn't not happened in the way that they could have happened, but not, or if they did, let's just put it down to one of the two of them, shall we? And shall we just say that basically shit happens and it's still able to be wiped off your feet and you can walk on without it?
But don't forget, you've got a choice.
You've got a
Yes.
choice. You
And
can
it's all,
choose to. You can
it's all
choose
about
to
the
take action.
response. Yeah, but it's all about the
about you.
response, not necessarily the reaction. Although I'm going to say that when something comes at you like that, react as quickly as you possibly can. So I'm going to finish now and say thank you, everybody, and let's go off and have a less than fatalistic evening and go into tomorrow with a good idea of what's destined to be.